And the president is also continuing to face criticism for failing to denounce last weekend's firebombing of a Twin Cities mosque. It's been 8 days since someone tossed an improvised explosive device into the Dar al-Farouk Mosque in Bloomington during morning prayers. And so far, the president has not issued a comment or a tweet about the incident. Top Trump aide Sebastian Gorka said last week the president would, quote, wait and see if the attack on the mosque was a fake attack before commenting. And that comment has drawn sharp criticism from local Muslim leaders. Joining me right now is Imam Asad Zaman, who has been acting as a spokesperson for Dar al-Farouk ever since this happened. Imam, thank you so much for coming on.
Good morning, Esme.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Let me ask you, first of all, before we get into the situation at Dar al-Farouk, what is your reaction to what happened yesterday in Charlottesville?
What happened yesterday was horrific. It is a terrorist incident. It needs to be treated as such. My heart goes out to the victims. They are in my thoughts and prayers. The whole community should unite in favor of tolerance and against bigotry.
We just read what Mr. Gorka had to say, that the president was going to wait and see if it was a fake attack on the Dar al-Farouk Mosque. You have been very vocal about that comment. How do you feel about that statement?
I mentioned earlier that I was insulted and offended by that comment. I'm still insulted and offended by that comment. That is absolutely unacceptable. The president has at his disposal FBI agents who have been in that building, who can testify that it is not a fake attack.
You took me inside there. Obviously the bomb exploded, but talk about the shrapnel patterns. The imam whose office it was happened to be running late that morning, right?
You know, it's amazing that we are talking about shrapnel here in the Midwest when this is something we discuss about war zones. Among the shrapnel patterns that came out of that IED were two pieces of shrapnel, one which shredded the imam's desk and one which shredded the ceiling above the imam's desk. Now, fortunately, that particular day the imam was running late and was not in the room, so the IED exploded in a room that was empty.
I was with you Tuesday morning when you were organizing an event at the mosque, a solidarity rally,
yes,
kind of an open house, and you told me that morning you weren't sure if there were going to be 100 people there. You had no idea. A lot more than 100 turned out, didn't they?
Well, yes, I said there might be 100, there might be 1,000. We brought food for 500, but maybe we might just double it up. As it turns out, we had 1,000 people, and that to me is the true face of Minnesota. Minnesota should not and is not represented by the terrorist who threw in a bomb in a place of worship. Minnesota is represented by the beautiful people who showed up in solidarity against hate.
And one thing, I was struck by that crowd. It was so diverse. You had
yes,
people of the Jewish faith, Jewish leaders, rabbis were there.
Yes.
You had obviously Muslim leaders.
Dear friends of mine, yes.
Yes, Senator Al Franken, the Bloomington City Council. They were young, they were old, they were white, black, brown. What was your reaction to that part?
Well, that again is actually part of the beauty of Minnesota. In my experience, I have deep personal friendships with pastors and bishops and rabbis, and that's just part of the fabric of this beautiful state. So personally, I was gratified, but I was not surprised. That's
all right. I do know this incident, this was not the first threat that mosque and other mosques in the Twin Cities have received.
Correct.
And I know that Dar al-Farouk in particular has received many, many threats. How are people just kind of coping? And they must be very anxious, obviously, knowing this person's still out there.
So in particular, Dar al-Farouk has received a threat by a person who said, we are going to come and bomb your mosque. And
so there was that specific threat before this happened?
There was, in fact, a specific threat. We have no reason to know that this was the same person, but that threat has been turned over to the FBI.
And how long before last Saturday's incident did that threat come in?
It was a while ago, several months ago.
Okay. Well, Imam, we certainly appreciate your time. I know you've been very busy. Imam Asad Zaman, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Bye.